I saw a movie, so you didn't have to, and let me tell you, this is one you're probably going to want to see. How to Train Your Dragon, a remake mostly done right. Here we go. Look, I've made it no secret that I'm not a huge fan of live-action remakes, especially recently and especially by Disney, but this isn't done by Disney. This is done by a studio that actually likes the original and tries to stick to it for the most part. And we'll get to that because while there are some changes and, of course, the casting shift that everybody already knows about, this film truly feels like an authentic shot-for-shot recreation for the most part. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, so don't worry about those. But the characters and the actors and actresses that play them do an extraordinary job reintroducing you to the Isle of Berk and all the quirky inhabitants on it, especially the young people. Now, I will say this, the kid that plays Hiccup is absolutely genius, and Mason Thames is probably the best choice they could have gotten to get the look and the feel and almost even the voice absolutely correct. And never in a million years would I have thought that Thandie Newton's child, Nico Parker, the young actress playing Astrid, truly convinces you that she is a Astrid character. Maybe not in the same frame as the original, but equal, if not better in a lot of ways. Now, they do elevate the strengthening of the females in this, but it's not out of character with the original movie. And that's something that I truly appreciate. There is a very strong character in Astrid, there's a very strong character in Hiccup, and of course there is a return to form with all of the father figures that exist here. And none of that got knocked out. This truly is still a great father-son tale in a way. A son always trying to impress his father, and a father that begrudgingly realizes there are 1,000 ways to be proud about your son. And this particular movie just drives all of that home. The same emotional reaction exists in the two spots that it's supposed to, and the cutesy little love interest story, it works itself out in the way that it should. But believe it or not, I'm going to say something that's stunning right now. The CGI, the believability of these dragons is there. This is like Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, where the creatures actually come to life in 3 dimensions in a way that they are 1000% believable. And believe me, that's saying something these days, especially after looking at the recent Superman trailer. This thing is a knockout, and I'm sure it looks even better on a bigger screen than even I saw it on, like IMAX. Now, this particular film delivers, not just doing honor to the original score, but taking it to the next level. And the sound effects and the sound editing on this, brilliantly done. The male characters have large booming voices and oversized bodies, which again is in the Viking spirit. The younger elements of those going through the trial of fire, trying to become the dragon slayers for the village in Berk, still look and represent the characters we originally fell in love with in the animated version. And there are several other father-son and similar relationships, situations that are happening throughout this film. In fact, a couple of them. They certainly didn't skimp on the actors portraying any of these characters, and this world all of a sudden became very real, which is hard to do, especially in a recreation or a live action version of something. Disney hasn't gotten it right in a very long time. This actually delivers. The human actors deliver in a way that I would have expected from any high quality production. But again, I lean on the CGI and say that Toothless is toothless. And you're going to actually see a representation of Toothless, or at least his type of dragon, over at Universal's new Epic theme park. That's right, you can actually interact with some of these smaller dragons. Speaking of smaller dragons, the kids really come to the rescue on the island in the same way that they do in the film, but with a lot more fireworks, and everything feels very tangible, which is something else that most of these new live-action remakes have been missing, especially something like Snow White, which always lived in this weird golden hue, like Golden Hour, the movie. None of that was present here. And let's take a step back and talk about the cinematography of this. Every single one of these scenes was certainly imagined and prevised in a way that lent itself to believability. The angles and the pitches and the rotations and the actors moving with the dragons and everything else had to take a lot of extra time, and maybe there was a visualization in front of the actor and actresses that allowed for them to know what they're supposed to be doing all the time on top of these dragons. And that brings me to something that I think a lot of live actions are missing most of the time: sentiment, genuine feeling, and a presence for the audience that they don't usually feel outside of a regular theatrical release, let alone anything that has CGI in it these days. I found myself really getting into the scenes that I loved in the animation, but maybe even more so in the live action version. Now, I've heard a lot of people reviewing this film, and a lot of them say, well, it's not the same. Of course it's not the same. While it is a pretty faithful adaptation, they're always going to have to change some elements because they aren't either possible or would take you out of the verisimilitude, because it would expand the big ask, which is just accepting that these dragons actually exist in the world, which again, they do a great job of presenting. And if this is a strange review that you're watching from me, it's because I'm so positive. This is actually a movie that's worth seeing. It's worth the money. It's not just worth the time, but it gives you an added depth to the original. And that's something not a lot of remakes are capable of doing. And with all of that said, I just want to congratulate Universal and all their various studios on delivering high quality entertainment that you've been able to surpass Disney for the last few years. Be prepared for this to be another one of those. Why do I say that? Well, I'm looking at not only the animation world, where DreamWorks and Illumination is surpassing Disney. I'm looking at this stuff, this live action theatrical release, and their expansion on lots of different properties, including Jurassic World coming up here in just a few weeks. Universal also has a winner in this film specifically, because even though originally my projection felt like 800 million or 850, 860 million might be the top end, at this point, based on what I saw and what I heard and the round of applause this film got in the theater I was in, this thing will make $1 billion, or at least it probably will. Might go well beyond that. And one final note before we get to the ratings, and this is going to be kind of funny. This particular movie had a special presentation of Elio and Elio's trailer, and this film was being brought to us by this Elio special presentation. I guess it was sponsored by something odd. Regardless, Elio was a major play up in this theater because they know that it's not going to do very well, and very few people have any feeling for what this movie is going to be about. But to be fair, neither did Disney. That's why it took so long. Regardless, I'm not here to kick Disney, although it's kind of fun. Let's set that aside and get to the ratings. At this point, in a scale of 1 to 10, believe it or not, this thing gets a solid 8 to 8.5 at this point in time. I'm a little bit hyped on this movie because I just saw it and it didn't disappoint me. So that's why I maybe fudge a little bit in the end and give it that extra 0.5. But when it comes to the 5-star rating, this is a solid 4. So settle it in at an 8. Maybe give me a few days to think on it and ruminate about it and kind of feel it out and see where I land in a few days. But for now, because this is so important and I want people to see this movie, this is 4 out of 5 stars. And if I haven't said it before, or if you haven't heard it from me before, this is the kind of film that I think Hollywood is still capable of. Clearly they are, but they have to take the time to abstain from shoving in lecturing and ideologies and just shove forward a high quality story that people are familiar with. After all, that's the nostalgia that brings people back again and again. On that note, I saw a movie so you wouldn't have to, and I think you're going to want to. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! Maybe on How to Train Your Dragon.